And then we played a song by one of the first ever all-female bands and one of the most influential ones. They were called Fanny. And that was single was called Charity Ball from 1970. And speaking of Fanny, we have Fanny Slater here. Wrote a cookbook, Orange, Lavender, and Figs, and she is joining us right now. And talking about the cookbook, and I have a question for you. Like, so you have a bazillion recipes in here. Do you ever like go back and say, kind of like sometimes where artists go back and re-listen to songs and say, "Gee, why did we ever put that on an album?" Do you ever go back and recook one of these and say, "Huh, it's not as great as I remember it," or that doesn't happen in the,
not,
the recipe world?
It's not that with, I mean, I'm sure it does, absolutely, but for me, it's more, this is just the way that I cook. What I wish I had done a bit differently is, since I put all these recipes out there, I've obviously, I cook every single day, so my skills in the kitchen get a little better every day. So I think there's a lot of variety that I've started to branch out with in my cooking that I would have loved to put into this book, but I don't go back into any of those recipes and say I wish I had done this differently. I say I'm really proud that these are in here, and now let me think about what I can do in the future that's different to give people a different taste of something else that I do.
No, it's awesome. I mean, I love the fact that there's recipes with pistachio, which is my favorite nut.
Oh yeah.
Figs, one of my favorite fruits. So it's so many great things as I'm looking through this, and the fig jam and the sandwiches, great stuff. So when you start thinking about other cooking things, now this has got these three things are a big part of it.
Right.
Orange, Lavender, and Figs, which is the title of the book. Go buy it, Barnes & Nobles, online, wherever you buy books. Get this book, Fanny Slater. You don't want to miss it. It's spectacular. Do you think, will the next one be three items, or will you just, are you not that far along, or are you just thinking every,
No, I mean, really, the place that the title came from, and we spent forever going through all these different lists of names, and I kept wanting to do a play off my name or a pun, and it just wasn't coming off right.
Fanfare.
Fanfare is the name of the catering company in the food business that I have, and it's a perfect combination of, my name and the word food, obviously, fair, so that goes really well. And I think as far as naming goes, we needed something that was going to be not so ambiguous that people would say we have no idea what this is about, but have a little bit of mystery to it. And the Orange Lavender Fig Jam, that's to me, probably one of my favorite recipes in the book. All the stories in the book and all the recipes are all based on childhood memories. So the original recipe that I submitted for Rachel's competition is a breakfast sandwich with orange lavender fig jam. And for the finale recipe of the competition, I submitted that same recipe again. So, I credit the orange lavender fig jam as being the recipe that got me into Rachel's competition, and it won me Rachel's competition. So it was my way of putting a twist on my childhood favorite, which is what the book's all about. So those three ingredients are the three that have changed my life and brought me sitting with you here today.
Hey, listen, we're happy to have you here, and I'm assuming now that you're on radio, I'm assuming you have bigger aspirations in radio, of course, which would be television, because that's the most important thing. I would assume that the cooking on TV has such a great visual, and they've done such a great job with the Food Network and how they've turned it into such a art form of watching it on TV, and even the way they edit it and shoot it and the way they talk about it, and even how Rachel's become, and she's so, obviously great with the camera. So obviously the future is television for you.
Since I was a little kid, I think TV has always been in the background for me. It's funny because I just came from my first book signing, and I have been, people said, have you been practicing your autograph? And I said, I've been practicing since I was 3 years old. So for me, it's always been in the background of wanting to be in front of people in some way. And growing up, I thought it was acting, and then I got really into improv. I lived in Los Angeles for a while. I went to the UCB Theater and got my improv training there.
Wow.
And I found that the most fun that I have with improv is when I'm in the kitchen. So cooking improv is really where I think I shine. And I'm hoping that can be brought to the screen in a fun way that represents not just who I am, but what my lifestyle is. Because, exactly what my boyfriend and I do every weekend is we go out with our friends and we go to the new brewery, or we have everyone over to do a beer tasting, or we all cook together. We go to the newest restaurant. And it's just a really fun... It's a fun lifestyle to have, and I think a lot of people would love to know how to create interesting, wonderful food at home for this type of 30-something lifestyle. So I'm hoping that down the road a cooking show develops, and I've been doing a lot of things locally, but hopefully on the big scale it'll come knocking someday.
Will you not forget this radio program when you become super big?
Of course not.
You know, the only way I figure I could ever get Rachel Ray on the show, if I wanted Rachel Ray on the show, was that I'd have to play her husband's music. And that would be like the back door to Rachel Ray. I'd have to play John Cusimano's band, which is called The Cringe, by the way. Have you heard The Cringe?
Of course I've heard The Cringe.
I like The Cringe.
I love The Cringe. Gotta support Rach.
Gotta support
Rach and John. All day long. And he makes killer cocktails. I know that.
They're not cringeworthy cocktails.
No, definitely not.
Cringeworthy music, not cringeworthy. So why don't we, let's play a song, since we're talking about Rachel Ray. We'll play a song by her husband's band, which is called The Cringe. This is from 2007. It's an interesting song. It's a similar titled song as a Pearl Jam song that was called Undone, but we will play a Cringe song called Undone. And then we'll come back and we're going to talk to Fanny for like a quick second and then play something by her all-time favorite artist. This is Anything, We're here with Fanny Slater. Make sure you buy the book Orange, Lavender, and Figs. It's available everywhere. And right now, this is The Cringe, just Rachel Ray's husband, by the way. Undone on Anything.